Welcome to Unlimited 100 gameplay video. This is Feraligatr Lockdown Spread versus Rhyperior Delcatty. So I'll draw my first 15, have a quick look at it. I'm not overly fond of it. It doesn't have a decent starter. And whilst I can get a Feraligatr out guaranteed turn 3 with the Ultra Ball and the Feraligatr already in hand, it's not great, so I decided to option a mulligan. Draw my new 15, and it's a lot better. It has Dunsparce, which allows me to get a lot of basics on my bench, 3 from Strike and Run, and it has search cards and a Crocnor, which means I can get the turn 2 Totodile, the turn 2 Crocnor from getting the Totodile from the Strike and Run. It also has the supporter and Copycat, which, whilst it's not the best guaranteed draw supporter, consider I don't know how big his hand's going to be by the end of his turn, but it is some way of me drawing cards, which is obviously good. I probably will keep the Professor Oak because it's extra draw. Spiritomb is not really needed at this point. I'm already starting with Dunsparce, and whilst I could strike and run into the Spiritomb, I don't really want to do that because I have item cards that I plan to keep. I do actually end up prizing the Oak because I value the Bicycle slightly more because my hand will get quite low, and I start with the London Sparse. Okay, so theoretically I have the advantage in this matchup as some of his Pokemon are weak to water, but not all of them are, and we'll see how that plays out throughout the game. He just attaches an energy and passes. I attach an energy and strike and run, getting a Baltoy, a Duskull, which allows me to evolve the same turn I play it, but that won't come into a factor as this is an attack, and a Totodile. And then it's his turn. He draws a card and evolves into a Rhydon. Right now I'm aiming to get a Baltoy next turn using the Level Ball and evolve into the Crocnor. Probably use Bicycle after that. And then Cosmic Power to get away with the trump card. See if we can get a better support than Copycat. And then the opponent is using Lynette to get in Slugma. Will probably go for a Baltoy. Yes, he does. Attempting to get his draw engine out, and as it's Rhyperior Delcatty, he's probably going to go for a Skitty at this point. Lynette's means that you have to get basic Pokemon of 3 different types, so yeah, he does go for a Skitter. Usually the Claydol or Baltoy line is the fighting Pokemon that you would get as a different type, because most decks don't run other fighting Pokemon, but Axel does. I attach an energy to Crocnor and evolve. Level Ball for a Claydol probably. There's not much point me getting Dusknoir out at this point because he doesn't have any damage on the board that I could move around. Hopefully I could be able to put more damage on the board later on in the game, but right now I'm just focusing on the setup. Don't really need any more energy at this point, so Mrs. Tears is not great in my hand. Don't really need to Lysine this trump card, so I just Bicycle for 1. The Crocnor isn't helpful here, so I just Copycat. Get a fresh 5. And what I'm hoping to see here is potentially a Dusclops, maybe some more basics, maybe a Voltorb. And instead I get 3 supporters, a Juniper, a Castaway and a Chorus, a Water Energy and a Pokemon Breeder. Now not a lot of these cards are useful. I actually can't play any of them from my hand at this point. So I decide to Cosmic Power the Juniper and the Castaway, as Chorus will probably be a better support next turn as he wants to fill his bench up. And I already have 3 on the bench, so I potentially got a Chorus for 8 coming next turn. I get double heads on Dual Ball, which means I will get 2 basics. And I will get a Voltorb and a Furious Fist Energy Evolution Eva. That means now I have 5 and he has 8, so I'm guaranteed a Chorus for 8 next turn. Unless I somehow get knocked out. I use Sudden Flash and 10 damage, and I flip Tails on the Paralysis flip. So Rhydon just takes 10 damage, and it is now easy go. Karina, we'll probably see a Claydol here. Yep, we do. And maybe a level ball to try and get a Delcatty out, maybe, or a Macago, maybe some sort of search, maybe a float stone on the Claydol. He's got a lot of options here because Karina is for a fighting Pokemon and an item card. He didn't actually attach an energy last turn, which could become problematic as he is now behind a turn from me, and I can attach multiple energy in a turn using Heart Gold Soul Silver Feraligatr. And he's still choosing. Next turn, Colress, maybe hope to draw into a Dusknoir for Pokemon Breeder. I've got energy in hand, so that's good. I will probably start going for the Glaceon to start getting some energy on, some damage onto the board with its cheap attack 30 and 10-12 bench. He goes for Battle Compressor here. There are multiple Delcattys that work from energy in the discard pile. He probably is running one of those. He goes for 3 fire. And plays a Float Stone and a Slugma. I think the Cargo has a 3 retreat cost, which means it can be searched out by Heavy Ball. Obviously doesn't want that to be Lysandred or Gust of Winded out. He gets a Luxury Ball for Rhyperior with Omega Barrier. Now this is really awkward for me to deal with, as a lot of HP. And its ability reduces attacks by 10. Its attack hits like a truck, but it is very slow. So I have to use the speed to my advantage. It's weak to grass, which means I can't really like one-shot it. And he gets a hard charm on it, which means any attacks that I'm doing are reduced by 30. He gets his energy down and plays another Rhyhorn. As I was saying, Rhyperior can be a problem, but the fact he missed an energy attachment may come back to bite him. I'm hoping to get some damage on the board, so once that Rhyperior does become a problem, I can move it all into Rhyperior and try and get a cheap knockout. My next turn is looking pretty good. He has 4 bench Pokemon and I have 5, which means I'm definitely getting a chorus for 9 at least. He does pass the turn and I draw another Water Energy. Great. I always need another Water Energy. So I decide to attach the Water Energy to Eevee and use Energy Evolution. Get out the Glaceon. Ice Edge isn't used that often, but it's an extra attack if you need it. Yeah, Chorus is definitely the correct play here, but I decide that I will use Cosmic Power first, because if I get the Chorus to 9, I might not be able to get my hand down low enough in order to use Cosmic Power after I've used the Chorus. So I decided to get the Cosmic Power first to try and draw as many cards as possible. There's nothing I really drew from the Cosmic Power, so I just used the Chorus. Okay, here I get the Muscle Band on. I have 3 supporters again. Teammates might be helpful if he ever decides to knock out that Dunsparce. Karina is just an item card at this point. I retreat into the Glaceon. And use Blizzard 50. And it is now his turn. The Dusknoir is okay. It'd be nice to get a Pokemon Breeder because I don't really want to wait 2 more turns to get a Dusknoir out now. Trevor can get me the Dusclops if I need it, or the Electrode. Pokemon Retriever, not really helpful at this point. Switch, not really helpful at this point. Okay, so attaches energy to Rhyperior. Castaway gets a fighting energy, and it also allows him to get a supporter and a tool card. So he can pretty much plan out his next turn. He gets a hard charm, which he probably will put on the Rhyperior, and he gets a Skylar. Sorry about the sound thing. Okay. So again, if he had attached the energy on that one turn, then he would have been able to get an attack off this turn, but unfortunately he didn't. I get the electrode off the draw, attach a energy to Feraligatr, which isn't the Feraligatr I want out. This is the Feraligatr I'm currently playing, that is currently in play, is mainly just a surprise time machine target. So I can get one out and then search for surprise time machine into something else later on. It does spread, which is nice, but it's not fantastic. Like 4 for 80 or 3 for 20 to everything. It's not fantastic. I Trevor for the Dusclops because I have the Dusknoir in hand for next turn. There's not much point with Karina in here, and Teammates is best saved. Well, I can't use Teammates here, but if I can keep it in hand for when he does knock out something, I can try and get a momentum shift. I Cosmic Power away the Karina and something else. Croconaw isn't fantastic here, I don't have anything to use it on. Suicune I can't use because the bench is full, so I decided to use Imposter Oak's Revenge, which is red card. Only I have to discard one to do that. I discard the Croconaw, I can always recover it later. The switch, it's fine for now. If he tries to like slow me down, Lysander out of Claydol or something, I have the switch, but I'm not really doing much. I use Blizzard, which would do 50 with the Muscle Band, but is reduced by 30 because of the ability and the Hard Charm. He has Mountain Ring in play as well now, which means that I'm gonna have to. I'm unable to stop spreading. I'll probably have to replace that stadium in order to resume that. He attaches the energy to Rhyperior and uses Computer Search, discarding a fighting and a escape rope. The Glaceon allows me to go very aggressive early on in the game. It's a lot of damage to put down early in the game. A lot of decks can't deal with it, and the second I get Dusknoir out, it's a lot. I can just move all the damage onto something like a Claydol, and then they've just lost their draw engine very fast. The Furious Fist Eevee, of course, making the line extremely consistent, just attaching the water energy, which is the only basic energy I run, and you've got Instant Search and a Blizzard ready to go. Okay, so his board isn't overly developed. He does have a Rhyperior and a Claydol, but he doesn't have his Macargo, his Delcatty, or another Rhydon or Rhyperior out at this point. And he has 2 damage on all of his bench. There is currently 150 damage on the board, if I'm not mistaken. And he Goop Gasses, unwilling to let me use Claydol and Electro next turn. That is a very smart play considering I have Teammates in hand and can get pretty much whatever I want. Now this turn could have been a lot more nastier for him, especially if he didn't Goop Gas. I benched the Suicune here because if I'd have played I will evolve the Dusknoir eventually, but if I'd have had the access to the Dusknoir, then there would be a lot more damage on the board, and he would be in a worse shape than he already is. Teammates lets me search for any 2 cards after one of my Pokemon had been knocked out the last turn. So here I'm looking to get the other Feraligatr out that locks powers and bodies. It also has Sore Spot, which for 2 water and a double colorless does 70 plus 10 more for each damage character on the defending Pokemon. This would definitely knock out Rhyperior. Now I make a mistake here and my opponent lets me take it back. This is important to note. I got Feraligatr EX off Teammates. What I should have done is get Surprise Time Machine. I would get Surprise Time Machine, I would remove the Feraligatr currently in play back into my deck and get out Feraligatr EX. Surprise Time Machine is a fantastic card. I just completely misplay here. He's gracious enough to let me take it back, and unfortunately for him, this is where things start to go south. So I attached a double colorless energy and evolved into the Dusknoir. I can't use Claydol or Cosmic. I can't use Cosmic Power from Claydol, and I can't use Electrode's Magnetic Draw, even though my hand's only 2. I only have 4 energy on the board and 1 Pokemon, but he doesn't have any energy on the board now after I use Soul Spot for a knockout. I take 2 prize cards. The energy removal is helpful because he's really behind now. Spiritomb not so much, but I can always just discard it. He brings Slugma active with his Floatstone, because it's always a good idea to bring something with free retreat active after it's been knocked out. And he plays a strong energy and night maintenance. He's getting back the Rhyperior line because it is one of his best counters to this deck. Some of the Rhyperiors are weak to water, and he obviously doesn't really want to use those if they can die so fast. Scott for any combination of support and stadium cards here. It's unfortunate he doesn't have teammates or twins to play, but he does get twins, and he gets a Lysandra also, Lysandra, to hopefully trap something active. I don't currently have a Floatstone on the Dusknoir or the Claydol. Electrode only has 1 retreat, so it's not as much of a factor. This will become big later on in the game. He gets a teammate also. He's expecting to be behind for multiple turns. Having 1 energy on the board and your main attackers only in basic form, not great. He's expecting to be behind. He can't play one of those in this turn, which is unfortunate for him, but such is the world. I draw the Lysandra, which is pretty good. It means that I can just kill the Rhyhorn. I get the line mixed up. I missed his tears, discarding 1 card and getting 2 water energies from a deck. And attach 1 to Suicune. If it gets the Omega Rhyperior out, then I've got Suicune to counter, as Safeguard stops EX's damage, and Rhyperior is countered in the EX in this format. Holland's Electrode, it's okay here. I could replace DCU with it, but I've already attached this turn. I decide to Lysandra the Rhyhorn out because I'm stopping him from getting anything. I want to stop him from getting an offensive present out at all. I decide to Sinister Hand some damage around so I don't waste any, and Soul Spot will take the direct kill and leave him with 80 damage on board. I get the water energy from the prizes. Lunette is a dead card at this point. I have Computer Search and Switch in case something gets trapped active. I can get a Floatstone next turn. Plays Twins. Now, I disagreed with this play during the time. I think he should have teammates, especially because the play he's about to make means I don't take a knockout the turn after. Twins is when you're behind on prize cards, you get any 2. Teammates is when you've got one of your Pokemon knocked out, you get any 2. He is quite far behind at this point. He gets a Spiritomb and a Pokemon Communication, putting back Rhyperior level X. Obviously he doesn't have a Rhyhorn to evolve up to yet, so there's not much point in having that. I'm in a decent position here. I have 5 energy on the board. I'm powering up another attacker, and he gets a Rhyhorn from the Pokemon Communication. He Gusta wins out the Dusknoir, which has a 3 retreat cost, very expensive, and this Slugma has 3 retreat, which will become detrimental for me. Dusknoir's retreat cost will become detrimental because I'm about to get item locked by Spiritomb. And the Switch in my hand and the Computer Search in my hand that I'm so proudly showing off, thinking I'm safe, don't mean anything when Spiritomb's active. This is why you should have used teammates. In my opinion, you should have used teammates because I'm really going to struggle to take a knockout here. He Darkness Graces out for Rhydon. Puts 10 damage on there. And I draw. Put Water Energy on Suicune. and I'm really struggling here. The support in my hand is useless. I can only Cosmic, and it's just not fantastic. Okay, so I said that I wouldn't take a knockout here. I actually end up doing because of the damage that's already on the board, but I still think Teammates is the correct play. I still stand by it because I could have easily missed that. In fact, I completely missed it re-going over it. Okay, so I item finder, discard Lynette's and Holland's Voltorb, Electrode. Just not useful at this point. And Gust of Wind out his Ride Online. I don't want it alive. I just really don't want him to get anything out. Magnetic Draw for 1. Totodile isn't great because I don't have any bench space. And then Cosmic Power. Breeder and Totodile and Feraligatr are all useless at this point because I don't have another bench spot. Dunsparce is taking it up. Broken Time Space is fantastic if I could actually get it down. But yeah, the Goop Gas is helpful whenever I need it. The Computer Search is helpful, and Steven's Advice netted me a couple of cards. So yeah, I take the knockout here and get Professor Oak as my prize. And it's really not looking good for him here. Nightly Garbage Run, which is similar to Super Odd. He gets the Spiritomb and the Rhydon and the Rhyhorn. I place Teammates here. He would probably go for another Rhyhorn. He wants to set that up, and he's definitely on the back foot here. Okay, Item Finder and Pokemon Nurse and Pokemon Breeder for Gust of Wind. He gets Dusknoir active again and Spiritomb. I believe he got the Item Finder and the Spiritomb from the teammates. As this was played online, we just kind of let each other take shortcuts. He plays Bill. It's Ultra Ball, discarding Slugma and Lapras. Lapras is a good card to get teammates from, as it's basically Jirachi, only it's not an EX. He gets the Rhyhorn down and Energy Retrieval for 2 fighting energies. Attaches 1 to Rhyhorn. He's still way behind, but then he brings forward Spiritomb again, and now I'm trapped active with no damage apart from the 1 on his board. Now I'm stuck. I have Computer Search, but that's not good when your opponent's trapping your items. I don't have a supporter currently. All my draw is item based, and my hand is too big to either use Magnetic Draw or Cosmic Power. You know, I just attach energy to Dusknoir here. I'm kind of desperate, and I start planning to having to manually attach and retreat to get Dusknoir out of there. And of course, whilst I'm doing this, he's building up his board. I end up just attaching and passing. He gets a Rhyhorn, a Rhydon, sorry, I keep getting those mixed up. But yeah, it's funny because I have a way better board, but me not having a Floatstone down, which you could argue is a misplay, me not getting this Floatstone down, but I was trying to save the Computer Search for something else, and he just casts away the Spiritomb. Now I again don't agree with this, because it would have took me at least another couple of turns to get anything going. I mean, unless I Cassius my own Dusknoir, but yeah, I really don't agree with that. And I believe he attaches his Scramble Energies to the Rhydon, and he gets his Delcatty out. He brings forward Slugma, and I think he's just looking for something to wall behind for a turn, because he just expects me not to retreat the Dusknoir anyway, which is entirely possible. Dials a machine, discarding a fighting and a fire energy. It'd be interesting to see what he goes for here. I don't really know what he would want. He goes for a Luxury Ball. Maybe looking for a Makago, so he can start like fixing his top deck. And instead he goes for a Rhyperior. This Rhyperior takes advantage of damage counters on Rhyperior itself, and also if you has a second attack which does about 60 damage I believe, and if it takes a knockout the opponent has to discard 3 cards. So he does that attack just for 60 damage, putting some damage on the board, fair enough. Now, unfortunately for him, I saved my computer search, and because he doesn't now he doesn't have Spiritomb active, I'm free to just use all this and get a Floatstone for it, for Dust Noir. So that's exactly what I do. Rhyperior is weak to water plus 30, it's not times 2, but has a 4 retreat cost. So currently I don't have a way to knock it out, and it's gonna take, and Feraligatr is gonna take a lot of damage back because I'm about to do 100 to it using Sore Spot. 70 plus the 30 weakness. I elect to use Sore Spot here and not Tsunami because I prefer to get a lot of damage on the board ready to use with Dust Noir, which can help the turn after. Because if you work it out, the 60 damage from Tsunami is still less than the 100 from the Sore Spot, albeit it's on 1 Pokemon rather than 4 Pokemon. That means that he can theoretically versus Ego Cassius or get it scooped up again, but it's still a lot more damage on the board. I attach an energy to Suicune, ready for a revenge KO if he somehow manages to knock out the Feraligatr. He attaches to the Delcatty and Evil Sodas for the Makago. Now this Makago synergizes well with Claydol because he can fix his top deck and then use Cosmic Power to be guaranteed to draw that card that he wants. Makago is also similar to Oracle, which is instead of search for your deck for 1 card and put it on your top, you get to search for 2. So it's basically you draw the 2 cards you want. The Scramble Energy is still in play because he's still behind on prizes. It's a good comeback card, but at this point he manages to 130 damage because of, I think it's Raging Drill. Yes, 10 damage on it is 30 plus. And Delcatty, I start to look at it worryingly, wondering what it can do. And its Power Heal, it does 10, does plus 10 more for each damage counter on Delcatty, and then remove 2 damage counters from Delcatty. So it can get the KO, I believe, next turn. I'm very reluctant to put any damage on Delcatty now, so that's why I put it both on Claydol and Makago. Usually when you're playing Dust Noir, you want to spread the damage out as much as possible to stop them from using Max Potion or things like that to remove the damage. But I really can't afford to keep put damage on Delcatty for the revenge KO. Feraligatr is 150 HP, so if it has 1 damage counter, if Delcatty somehow gets 1 damage counter on it from like Rainbow Energy or me just carelessly putting one on there, it can mean that he will get the KO. Now I keep 4 on there to make sure that I can actually get the knockout. I Professor Oak, I believe, and Bill for Rosa, and get Rosantum Water Energy. I start attaching manually to Claydol because I don't have another attacker set up. I really don't want what happened to Dust Noir to happen to Claydol. Now Dust Noir has a Floatstone, so I start making sure I have enough energy on Claydol that I can retreat if he tries to trap it active. I take the knockout with Sore Spot, and he brings forward Makago. He needs another damage counter on Delcatty or a Muscle Band or some way of doing 10 more damage to take this knockout on Feraligatr. And the Pokemon retrieves away a Rhyperior line. Looker's Investigation, which lets him see my hand, then choose me or himself, and that person shuffles and draws 5. This is a good disruption support at the start of the game because your opponent picks well, your opponent draws 15 cards and picks the best 7 there. So if you can do that on the first turn, you're shuffling away like their very carefully, meticulously hit through start. Now, my hand is not good here, as my opponent sees, so he decides to look his investigation himself. He still gets to see my hand, but he's going to shuffle and draw 5. It's kind of like Shauna with an added benefit of seeing your opponent's hand and disrupting your opponent's hand if you want to. But as you can see, 3 water energies. Okay, I'm great. I'm not going to miss an energy attachment. Pokemon communication. I can get a Pokemon, but I don't have anything to do with it. Karina, I can get an item card. Roseanne's, I can get more water energy or more basics, but I have nowhere to put them. An Ultra Ball, I can get a Pokemon, but I've got nothing to do with it. So he benches another Rhyhorn, attaches a fighting energy, and he brings forward Delcatty, and unfortunately can only do 10 damage. Feraligatr lives by 10. Wow. Power Heal did 10 damage. Now, this is again massive because I've still kept an attacker active. I use Karina here to try and get an item card. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to go for. My belief is that I would go for a Gust of Wind, well, a Dust Noir, a Dowsing Machine to get Gust of Wind for the discard pile to kill the Rhyhorn, because I really don't want him to get anything set up. There's not much left in the deck that is actually useful. I don't have a lot of anything knocked out. I have some Pokemon in the discard pile that I just discarded. Don't really need any search cards. Evo Soda and Dive Ball. Pokedex is basically draw a card, which is meh at this point. So yeah, Dowsing Machine is probably the best option here. Now, I get into some slight deliberation on what I should do here. I want to make it so I definitely have, well, I attach an energy to Claydol first of all. I want to make sure that I can keep as much damage on the board and still take a knockout, because I'm currently at 2 prizes, I believe. Now, I can take a knockout on something like Macago, and then I want to make sure I can keep enough energy on the board and damage on the board that I can easily just move all of it onto one, even if Feraligatr gets knocked out, that I can just use Suicune, Aurora Beam for a knockout. I check his discard pile to see who's got a Rhyperior knocking about in the discard pile, because he could try and retrieve it back, Rare Candy, or if you can somehow get Scramble Energy back, something like that. So I Dowsing Machine here for a Gust of Wind, and I put it into my hand. No, I don't. I bring my cargo active. I decided beforehand what I was going to do. So I start figuring out how I can get the most damage on the board whilst still taking the knockout. I mean, Macago is weak to water, so Tsunami wouldn't kill it, but it will put damage on the board. Soul Spot would kill it, but it would not keep damage on the board. Tsunami also would not be effective because of Mountain Ring, so it would just be 60 to Macago. So I end up, I believe, going for Soul Spot. Yes, I go for Soul Spot. At this point, my opponent he essentially concedes, and he just decides to like show me what he has. He tries to play out his turn, but even though Delcatty can take this knockout, I have 60 damage on the board, so anything that he has, unless he can somehow get a Rhyperior that isn't weak to water out, will die to an Aurora Beam. He attaches the DC to Rhyhorn. Lysander's out. It would be something irrelevant. I mean, the Dunsparce or the Electrode don't have any way to retreat currently. But Claydol might be another option, because if you can somehow get an energy removal or super energy removal, then it is stuck active and it's got a bigger retreat cost than both Electrode and Dunsparce. If you can get a megaphone, then I guess Dusknoir was another option. You can also try and take a knockout on that, but it's definitely over from now. He really doesn't have anything, and whilst I don't have anything in my hand, my board is a lot more developed. He was unable to deal with the sore spot so early on in the game, and then despite I really disagree with the play that he cast away the Spirit Team. I believe if he kept that active, then he could have maybe built built up his board a lot more. At this point, he's just trying to deliberate. I mean, is there anything he can actually do to win? Rough sees if he doesn't take this knockout on a Feraligatr, which I doubt he can, considering he just Lysandered something else active. Can just heal it, so I can spend turns, and he's not going to benefit from it. He puts an expert belt, and he gets start mounting, which lets him move a fighting energy onto one of his fighting Pokemon. Pokemon Rescue, search your discard pile for a Pokemon. I believe it's put into your hand. I just start looking through his discard, see if he has another Rhyperior. Lapras, and then this is where you can begin to tell that he really doesn't have anything, because this whatever he gets he can't use because he Lysandered Claydol active. So he just decides to see what he can do. Heavy Ball. But yeah, the Rhyperior line being weak to water, well, some of them isn't great for him. The Rhyperior line being weak to water allows me to get a couple of easy knockouts, so the matchup is slightly harder for him. He's looking to retreat the Delcatty, doesn't seem to be able to do much, maybe take a knockout this turn, but apart from that, I think this is over. And he's really struggling to do anything. I believe he's going to bring forward the Rhydon. Anyway, so this was a deck that he was just testing. Someone posted it on the forums and he decided to put his own spin on it. I believe he decided to put in Macago instead of running Energy Constraint Delcatty. He takes the knockout using Rhyhorn on Claydol. I then promote Feraligatr and take the Revenge knockout for game. It was a good match. He did well to stall for a couple of turns, especially when the odds were definitely against him, but this is a test deck. I thought he did pretty well, especially we played a few games beforehand with different decks, and it held up a lot better. It actually won a couple. Feraligatr, I've took it to a couple of tournaments. I believe I got second in one of them. It's one of my favourite decks. It's pretty much what I started to get competitive in the format with. It's well supported line. Recent addition was Phantom Forces Feraligatr, which I didn't get to get out in this matchup, but Second Strike combined with Dusknoir and the Blizzard Delcatty just is fantastic. Put 10 damage on them, then all of a sudden you're doing 160 for 4 energy, which is very good in unlimited 100. Obviously it's decent in standard, but try getting a stage 2 out in standard. Expect a deck profile for this deck soon, and hope you enjoy the video.